To find out more about what's likely to happen during this visit, we're joined now by Paolo Von Schirach. He's the president of the Global Policy Institute, and he assesses international politics and security. Thanks for coming in. Poland, a key ally in Eastern Europe to the United States. They've got a very warm relationship. What do we expect out of this meeting?
Well, I'm not sure that we expect a lot, except for perhaps a stronger reassurance on the part of President Trump that America is still there. In other words, there are some European leaders who have openly commented that America, and as Angela Merkel put it, was a friend and now is an important country, which has kind of been downgraded somewhat, in part because of what Donald Trump said, America first, we're going to take care of our own, and NATO, well, yes, it depends on what you guys in Europe are going to do to meet the commitments of increased defense spending. And this is not going to be an American open-ended blank check. And so the fact that he goes to Poland, which among the many European allies, as you indicated, has met or is on the road to meeting its commitment, it's a sign, say, we're happy to see this, and as long as you, other European countries do this, we're good.
How does NATO feel about Donald Trump? I mean, obviously, he's going to go there with words of reassurance, but as you said, it's because they're closer to the commitment. He was kind of expected to be much more forthcoming in support of NATO. Last go-round wasn't. There was a lot of disappointment.
Absolutely, and concern, because this is a sort of a staple of American foreign policy. Since 1949, April 4th, Treaty of Washington, establishment of the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, this has been the main ticket, so to speak, main component of U.S. foreign policy, the defense of Western Europe. Of course, in those days, there was the Soviet Union. The Soviet Union is no longer. On the other hand, we have Russia, with which we have, admittedly, difficult relationships, and Russia is probing at its edges. Of course, we know about what happened in Georgia, what happened in the Ukraine, the annexation of Crimea, even though these, technically speaking, are not areas covered by NATO, but they are awfully close to many countries. And so if looking at what happens to Crimea, other particular former Soviet republics like Latvia, Estonia, and Lithuania says, are we next? And of course, the question is, what is Uncle Sam going to do? Are the Americans going to help us if something happens? And Trump says, well, have you paid your bills lately? Well, maybe not. Maybe we'll pass on this one. So it is up to Trump to change not so much the substance, which I don't believe anybody is questioning, but the atmospherics, and to show that America is still there and that America is ready to meet its commitments. And again, expecting that the Europeans will also carry their own weight, which is not an entirely unreasonable proposition.
Trump will also meet with Vladimir Putin. Is there a signal sent by going to Poland first, trying to reassure the NATO allies before he meets with Putin?
Well, I hope so. Of course, it depends on how the meeting with the Europeans go, because, again, the Europeans, knowing this whole complicated story, at least all the media coverage that we know, what's going on here in Washington, Putin hacking the elections and this and that, or Trump having spoken somewhat favorably and warmly about relations with Russia during the campaign, the Europeans may start asking questions, say, are we still on the agenda here, or are we becoming yesterday's story? So the fact that Trump meets with the Europeans first, incidentally, beyond talking about defense, they're also talking about energy in these meetings in Poland, which also means giving the Europeans some kind of reassurance, as they are dependent heavily on Russian gas, that with America now having become a net exporter of LNG, of liquefied natural gas, that they have alternatives. So that's part of the general conversation. We'll see, again, in terms of atmospherics, what will be the outcome of the meeting with the Europeans, and in what fashion and in kind of mood Trump meets Putin, which will be, by the way, the very first face-to-face meeting between the two heads of state.
And quickly, if you can, obviously the DPRK very much on his mind. Russia was a part of the six-party talks. Do you think that he might be talking to him as well about perhaps some leverage?
I think so. And again, Putin, there was just a summit between Putin and Xi Jinping, where they discussed, among other things, a joint plan, whatever that is, of action regarding North Korea. This is really, obviously, from the United States security perspective, a huge problem. and of course affecting more directly our allies, Japan and South Korea. Can Putin do something? I'm not sure what leverage Russia has vis-a-vis North Korea. China certainly has more leverage between the two. But can Putin be kind of a, how can I say, constructive player in all this? I guess he could, because they do have relations with North Korea that we in the United States do not have.
Paolo Von Schirach, thanks so much for your observations. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you.